Uh-oh.
Once I get my own apartment, I'm making OnlyFans.
Why the fuck not, man? Yo, what's going on here, buddy? Hold up. Hold up, man. I gotta play that one again. Hold on. Why the fuck not? Oh man. All right. Yeah, man. Yo, welcome to the Spirit Report Podcast, man. I'm your host, Mr. Spann. This is episode number 316 of the report, man. And yo, real talk, I got to get me a goddamn TikTok now. I got to get me a TikTok. And the only reason, like, I felt like I had reached peak internet, right? Right? Because like I got a Facebook, I got a Twitter, I got an Instagram. I even got like a Pinterest and shit now, only because I'm looking for certain stuff like home decor or whatever else, right? So I got all these different like sorts of like accounts and stuff, not to mention like the PayPal and the Amazon and the Netflix and the Disney Plus and all these different accounts and shit. So I feel like I've reached peak internet, right? And for a long time, I'm like, man, the TikTok, man, I don't know if I'm going to jump on the TikTok, man. But every time I look up, man, there's some funny-ass shit coming off of TikTok. And it's making its way to my Twitter. It's making its way to my Facebook. And I feel like I should be meeting it where it's at, man. I should be meeting it where it's at. And so, yeah, I saw that random-ass shit on my Facebook timeline. And I'll be damned if I didn't, like, die the first time I see it. It's still fucking funny to me. But the first time I saw that, like... I'm gonna get me a TikTok, man. The man Spann gonna get him a TikTok. But yo, man, like I said, this is episode 316 of the Spirit Report Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Spann, and it is Halloween 2020. And if you're watching us here live, man, your man Spann is decked out in his finest of Toronto Blue Jays gear. And the reason why I'm decked out in my finest Toronto Blue Jays gear is because your man Spann is Canadian for Halloween. Yeah, man. This is the best your nigga can do, man. It wasn't like we was gonna be out there doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just had to turn away kids from like trick or treating and shit. Like here's the thing, man. Like I feel like when I moved out of the apartment and I got into the home life, man, like having a house and stuff, I looked forward to having like kids come by the house and me being able to hand out candy and shit. Cause I wanted to be the house, man. Your man Spann wanted to have a house, but like the kids would talk about the house, like, yo, man, they give out big gobs of candy every year, dog. I got like 12 fucking like Reese cups from that house last time we went there last year. But COVID done fucked all that shit up, man. COVID done fucked all that up, man. So like I had some kids come up to the house or whatever. I hadn't even bought no candy because I didn't feel like it was safe for me to like pass out candy to the kids and shit, man. COVID done took so much shit away from us, man. Real talk. But yo, man, it is what it is. So I got a little dressed up for y'all. For the Spann Report or whatever. Hopefully y'all dressed up at the crib too. Maybe we can say Halloween and take shots or whatever, make a game out of it. I don't know, but it is what it is. But of course, before we get into the entire show that is the Spann Report Podcast, let me let you guys know how to get in touch with us over here so y'all can talk y'all shit. Hit us up on our hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave us those voicemail messages, and of course, those messages will get played here and responded to here live on the show and responded to in kind. And if you're watching us here live on YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook, go ahead and call our hotline, chop it up with your man Spann here live. So area code 313-288-0485, and get your voice heard that way, right? Also, Email us here at the show at feedback@thespanreport.com. That's feedback@thespanreport.com. Go ahead, leave us those emails. Of course, those emails will get read here and responded to here live on the show as well. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So you can go ahead, follow me there, chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. Also, hit up our website at www.thespanreport.com. You can go there. You can watch replays of the show. You can vote in the polls when those polls are put up, man. When we decide to put those polls up, you can donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like. And of course, we really do appreciate everybody who goes about the business of doing that and giving us money in that way. Also, for those of you who would like to, for us to continue to be able to do this here on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope, we have a Patreon. We have a Patreon campaign going on for you guys to be able to do that and contribute once a month, man. We really appreciate everybody who goes about the business of doing that as well. Also, one way to put down for the show, it doesn't cost you a dime, just a couple minutes of your time. Hit us up with a 5-star review on iTunes and or Stitcher Radio. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get read here live in the show. Cost you a dime, like I said, just a couple minutes of your time. So let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network, man. Real talk. Also, our store. We've got a TeePublic store, man. Go there, copy yourself some merch. Get yourself a t-shirt. Get yourself a hoodie. It's getting cold outside, baby. Get yourself a thermos, man. Get your warm drinks in them thermoses, baby. Get your coffee, your teas and whatnot. You know, some of y'all drinking the green tea, trying to be healthy and shit. Go ahead and do that. Get yourself a face mask, man, because like it's face mask season, bro. Like it's COVID outside. Not only is it cold outside, it's COVID outside. Get yourself a face mask, man, and support us in that way, man. Real talk. But yo, man, that's how you get in touch with us, and that's how you can support the show here at the Spann Report Podcast, man. Real talk. But yo, man, I got a couple random thoughts, man. Here. I was thinking of these things over the course of the week, and I felt like I would share them with you guys, man, because you know I love y'all, man. I do. But my first random thought here, man. This is like random as shit for real. But what if you could like add like alerts to your microwave in the ways in which we used to add ringtones to our phones, man? Like, what if that was like a thing, right? You know, like say for instance, like you know, I was thinking about this because like I had microwaves and shit, and I was watching some TV, and then like my microwave was going off like ding, 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 and I knew it was done, but I wasn't finished. Like I was enthralled with what I was watching on TV and shit, right? And so the microwave did the little reminder thing, like nigga, you get like ding, 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 and I was thinking to myself like, yo, man, what if you could like put a fucking ringtone on the microwave, like, hey, nigga, your food done, come get this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's done, come and get it. Or if it could sense what type of food you was like warming up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so say for instance, if you at the job and shit, and somebody like decided that they was gonna like, you know, reheat some fish or whatever, like this nigga eating fish, like, or better yet, this nigga warming up fish. You know what I'm saying? And it basically calls you out in front of like the whole fucking like unit or whatever, you know, and you probably won't do that shit no more because the microwave will call you out. You know, I was thinking about that, man. You know, ringtones for microwaves. It's $1 million idea. Y'all can have it. You know what I'm saying? LG, Samsung, holla at your boy. You know what I'm saying? Holla at your boy. Another random thought that I kind of had, man. So apparently, you know, with the election being like the election is Tuesday, right? Like this is that's the last day. We'll finally be done with all of the like the ads. Some of us are receiving text messages and phone calls and shit. Like the Joe Biden campaign. I love, like, I mean, truthfully speaking, like I said, I want Joe Biden to win, and I wanted Kamala Harris as on the top of the ticket, but I'll take her on the second part of the ticket. I mean, I love like Kamala Harris or whatever. But yo, man, these motherfuckers text a lot, B. Like they text a lot. They've been trying to get me to volunteer. They've been trying to get me to knock on doors. They've been trying to get me to give money. I mean, I've been giving some money. Because that's all I got right now to give. Like I ain't really got a whole lot of time. I mean, I can share the platform, but I ain't really got a whole lot of time, man. But they've been asking a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like the Joe Biden campaign been hitting your boy Spann up hard. I'm a little salty that they ain't invite me to the Barack Obama, you know, Joe Biden thing that's going on at Belle Isle here in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all got a nice penny out your boy. You know what I'm saying? But y'all could have invited me to the Barack Obama thing at Belle Isle. Y'all didn't, and I'm a little salty about it. You know what I'm saying? But my vote's already in. My vote was in September, right? But but no, man, a whole lot of rappers and shit have been meeting with the candidates and whatnot. We've been talking a lot about Ice Cube and talking a lot about we haven't been talking about what's that dude there? 50 Cent. We haven't been talking about 50 Cent quite that much. But we've been talking about rappers and shit. And I was thinking, like, I remember at some point in time, I might have got on this mic and I talked about me missing like R&B groups and shit. Cause like R&B groups are like, they've died out, man. We don't see R&B groups no more. Like every now and again, we'll see one R&B nigga like come up and then like they got some R&B beef or whatever. But we don't really have R&B groups no more. Like I think the last real R&B group we might have had, man. I mean, are we going back to like what's that? B2K? Maybe? You know what I'm saying? Like Jagged Edge, like they kind of like they fits in this first niggas getting on in and out of jail and shit for beating their wives or whatever. 112 is like all split the fuck up. Excuse me, you got like one half of 112, like touring with a group of niggas that ain't even 112, and then another half of 112 touring with another group of niggas that ain't 112. You got that going on. But I was, like thinking, like, yo, man, what if this is the time? What if this is the time where like New Edition, like the quintessential young black, R&B group comes back together and we find out these motherfuckers that met with Donald Trump. Yeah, man. It'd be some shit. Man. Not only that, think about this like this, man. Like, what if these motherfuckers not only met with Donald Trump, but they decided they was going to re-release a new song, and as opposed to be called it Cool It Now, they'd be like, Coon It Now. Yeah, man. Like if New Edition came back out, talking about Coon It Now. Let's coon it now. You got to coon it now. Oh, watch out. You're gonna lose control. Like, I don't know how I feel about that, man. Like I think as we've seen with the many rappers that have met with Donald Trump, that the black community would probably lose their motherfucking mind, man. Real talk. But then the other part about that I was thinking about, man, like if New Edition did come back and they decided that they were going to like meet with Donald Trump and they came out with the Coon It Now, it's like a campaign song for all the blacks for Trump motherfuckers, because that's another thing too. Trump got like a little segment of like niggas that follow him around. They call it blacks for Trump and shit. And like Coon It Now would be like the song for them. But then like, of course, Bobby Brown is like the volatile one in the group and shit, right? And Bobby Brown, like, he wouldn't necessarily be comfortable with like the whole Coon It Now shit. And like he would break away from the group again. He'd be mad he'd get fed up with these niggas again, leave the group again, go solo again. And as opposed to like, like he come up with his own song, another remake of a classic, an oldie but a goodie. But he says instead of don't be cruel, don't be coon. Oh, snap, wrong one. Yeah, I said don't be coon. Yeah, don't be coon. Because he would never be coon that way if he was with you and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's random. I know. I'm and I've been drinking, so y'all gotta forgive me. But yeah, man. Those have been my random thoughts. It's like, yo, man, it's so many rappers going to meet with this nigga, man. I can't believe it, man. But like, Coon It Now, Don't Be Coon, Bobby Brown. Yeah, I know y'all picking up what I'm putting down, man. I know it. Y'all ain't saying it now. I know it. But yo, man, that's enough of my goddamn random thoughts, man. Let's get to the news. All right, man. Our first story here in the news actually has to do with the motherfuckers in debt, man, and tons and tons and tons of debt. So apparently, couples who have been planning to get married in 2020, yo, man, y'all on the hook for $3.7 billion for canceled and delayed weddings due to COVID-19, man. I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to laugh at y'all. I don't. I mean, it ain't y'all fault, really. But we're going to read the story here. This comes out of fox2detroit.com. It says, no amount of wedding planning could have prepared engaged couples for the COVID-19 pandemic this year. Research from loanery.com, an online organization dedicated to simplifying complex financial situations, shows that 11% of couples planning to get married, or 225,000 couples, are paying back loans for weddings that have not happened this year. According to loanery.com, the average wedding costs over $30,000, and couples take out an average loan of $16,500 to pay for the wedding. Considering that 11% of couples have taken out a loan in 2020 for a postponed or canceled wedding, the total amount of debt for weddings that have not happened this year adds to a staggering $3.7 billion. You should take financing a wedding using a loan very seriously, and we don't recommend it, wrote Ethan Taub, CEO of loanery.com. In fact, finding ways to cut costs on your wedding expenses is a far more effective alternative. In this way, you can avoid unnecessary debt, yet still enjoy your big day. Now, so here's the thing, man. When it comes to like weddings and stuff, like when I got married, one of the biggest things was that we didn't have a large wedding. Like me and my wife, we got married in New Orleans. We got married in an art gallery in New Orleans. The owner of the art gallery just so happened to be friends with my in-laws, my mother and father-in-law. Really good friends with them, and he allowed for us to use his space in order for us to get married. We got a justice of the peace, sort of like someone who was authorized to like marry us in fucking New Orleans, right? I think the most money that got spent on our wedding was like for the reception. And of course you're paying for like the food that people eat, you're paying for the decorations and stuff like that. But for the most part, man, we did not incur a lot of debt for the wedding. I'm of the mindset and that like, you're essentially the wedding is for you. And I know a lot of folks who get married, like the wedding not only is for them, but it's for the show. It's for the, it's for the everyone to celebrate the love that you guys have, found within each other and stuff, right? And that's all well and good. But like truthfully speaking, them people ain't paying for shit. Like they may love y'all and everything else, but you're gonna be saddled with some debt. Like to have, like, I gotta pay for this ring, I gotta pay for this wedding dress, I gotta pay for the venue, I gotta pay for the DJ, I gotta pay for like all of these things, and that shit starts to add up for you to try to impress people that like that they may be happy for you, but I don't know if they really want. Then they're gonna put it in on the love, man. I'm having a hard time like articulating why I don't believe that like that amount of debt, taking on that amount of debt for one day, you got to live the rest of your life, but you're paying all that money for that one day event. And I know a lot of sisters, like they've grown up, not sisters, just like in the way in which we talk about marriage and weddings, period. Like a lot of this stuff is geared towards young women, and like this is your day, and this is a day that you want to remember for the rest of your life. A lot of you like have grown up and you fantasize about this day your entire lives, and then when that day finally happens, you want no expenses like spared and everything. I hear all of that. It's cool when you can pay for it, but when you can't, and you got to take out these loans, and like that fucking payment starts ballooning, and we're talking about people who haven't even been married yet. Like they've taken on this debt and they haven't even like taken the vows, signed the marriage certificate, none of that stuff. Everything's been postponed because of COVID. It takes on a different meaning, man. And I just want people to like know that, like, yo, you can go to the justice of the peace and get married. And like, if you want the ceremony, if you want the pomp and circumstances of that, there's nothing wrong with that. But also, I just kind of want y'all to be able to pay for it, man. You know what I'm saying? Because times are tight right now. And so you got a whole bunch of people, $3.7 billion in debt for weddings that haven't even happened yet. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. And I would hate for anybody to like be stressed out over debt that they didn't have to incur. Not only that, it could be a stressor on the relationship, especially when you haven't even like tied the knot yet. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of pressure. And like, yo, man, I just want folks to be mindful of that, man. Like, you can have a wedding, you can be married. Your marriage is just as valid if you don't have that big ass wedding as somebody who went to the Justice of the Peace, man. Like, the Justice of the Peace weddings are valid. Like, paperwork is the paperwork is what counts, right? The paperwork, So yeah, man, that's in the news, man. $3.7 billion in canceled and delayed weddings, man. That's crazy. Now, another story that we got here in the news, man, this is actually an update on the story that we did last week. So remember last time we was on here. We was talking about the Detroit woman that got peed on by a pastor who at the time was unknown to us. Got peed on by a pastor on a flight from Delta Airlines from Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, apparently the guy who was peeing on this woman, he was identified, and they're now suing his ass to the tune of $2 million. Yeah, so we get the story here. This comes out of clickondetroit.com. I believe there's a video attached to this. No, there isn't. But we won't read the story here. It says a pastor is being sued for millions of dollars on accusations he stood up in the middle of a flight to Detroit, walked over to a sleeping woman, and peed on her, according to records. Now, here's the other part about this that I think is like kind of weird. I said peed on her because it's like common vernacular or whatever. But generally speaking, when you read an article, you very seldom expect to see anything that says someone peed on anybody else. Like, I would have expected to read, like, he urinated on this person, right? But that ain't what they wrote. They wrote peed on her, right? It says a complaint accuses Pastor Daniel Chalmers. Pastor Daniel Chalmers. Again, we're going to say it again. Pastor Daniel Chalmers, because they went through great pains to identify this motherfucker last week. A North Carolina resident of drunkenly urinated on a woman during Delta Flight 874 from Las Vegas to Detroit on October 13th or October 14th. The woman has hired attorney Jeffrey Feiger, who filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Chalmers. Now, what is alleged to have happened is Feiger claims that Chalmers boarded the plane with a blood alcohol content above 0.17. The flight was scheduled to depart at 11:30 p.m. Pacific time, October 13th, and land in Detroit at 6:15 a.m. Eastern time, October 14th. The woman, a Detroit resident, got on the plane with her sister. According to the complaint, she was sitting on the seat in seat 23C, and her sister was sitting in seat 23A. Shortly after takeoff, the woman put a mask over her eyes and fell asleep, the complaint says. She felt something warm touch her and immediately woke up. The woman said she saw Chalmers standing next to her with his pants unzipped and his private parts exposed, records show. She screamed, waking up the other passengers on the plane, according to the complaint. She immediately realized that she had been urinated on by Chalmers, the complaint says. An off-duty police officer arrested Chalmers when the woman screamed, officials said. Now, most of this is all information that we got last week when we talked about this. The thing was, this dude hadn't been identified. That was a big stickler that I had last week, was like, yo, man, we're talking about this guy. We're talking around the fact that, like, yo, yeah, he peed on her, but, like, who the fuck is the guy? Who the fuck is this guy? Now we know who this guy is. But there's another story here. We get this from the Queen City Nerve. It says, thanks to a Freedom of Information Act request filed by the Wayne County Airport Authority, Queen City Nerve has learned that the well-known North Carolina pastor accused of peeing on a woman during his flight this month is Daniel Chalmers, co-founder and president of Love Wins Ministries. The Love Wins website lists Chalmers' home church as Catch the Fire Raleigh Durham. A police report states that Chalmers was found to be intoxicated upon his request with a blood alcohol content more than twice the legal limit to drive a car, and told police he had also taken prescription medication. He had since blamed the incident on a bad reaction to sleep aids. We heard that last week, emphasizing that there was no malicious intent and reaching out to the victim to ask forgiveness in an attempt to make things right. Now, the interesting thing about this was that later on, this dude decided that he was going to recant his whole admission on this shit. Because even now, he's talking about he was asking for forgiveness for what he did. It says the officer warned Chalmers that if he caused any further disturbance, he would be zip tied to his seat, and then went to speak with Beverly, who stated she wished to prosecute and would respond to any summons sent to her by the court. According to the report, the Fox News Detroit report, in a Fox News Detroit report, Beverly stated that she had to sit in wet clothes for the remainder of the flight. As Chalmers exited the flight, he advised the captain of his intention to sue Delta Airlines for defamation of character for their treatment of him. Now, mind you, how rich do you have to, like the irony being lost on you that you peed on somebody. You peed on somebody. You got caught peeing on somebody. The air marshal catches you in the midst of peeing on somebody, and you go to fucking Delta and say, I'm suing y'all for defamation of character. This is going to be a theme tonight, because this isn't the first time that, like, the actual perpetrator of an event, the perpetrator of someone being victimized by them, actually threatens to sue because they are being met with the consequences of their actions, man. But yo, man, we know who the fuck it is now. It is Pastor Chalmers of the what's the name of the church again? Let me pull this up. What's the name of this church? It is the Love Wins Ministries Catch the Fire Raleigh Durham. His name again is Reverend Daniel Chalmers. All right, so we got resolution to that. That's in the news, man. Another story that we got here in the news is so a mother of 5 was shot and killed at an Iowa Chuck E. Cheese after an argument with another mom at the establishment. Off top, I'm trying to figure out why the fuck Chuck E. Cheese is such the spot. Like, why is Chuck E. Cheese the spot? Like, but we're going to read the story. This comes out of KMOV.com. Mother of 5 was shot and killed at a Chuck E. Cheese in Davenport, Iowa, Sunday evening. Police were called to the scene and found Eloise Chairs, 29, unresponsive. She later died at the hospital. Trishonda M. Polian, 24, was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. She is being held in jail without bond. According to Chairs' family, they said she got into an argument with another mother at Chuck E. Cheese after her son's game card was taken by another child. The other mother's friend, Polian, allegedly took out a gun and shot Chairs in the shoulder. The bullet hit a major artery, which caused her to bleed out and die. Chairs' sister, Christina Chairs, said Eloise's children witnessed their mother's. God damn it! They witnessed their mother's shooting. Chairs' family told News 8 that she was a loving mother of 5 children, including a 4-week-old baby girl, a child she was especially excited for. Friends say, as her other children were all boys. Eloise always put her children first. Christina said Eloise was shot in front of her children, blood covering them all. Another one of her sisters, Joy, said Eloise had a kind heart and a pure soul. She always wanted to help, even when she needed help of her own. She loved children, especially her own nieces and nephews, Joy said. Another friend of Eloise's agreed. Geraldine Vaughn told News 8 that when she met Eloise, they instantly clicked, and she described Eloise as an amazing person, hardworking mother, and an incredible friend. I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on at the Chuck E. Cheese, man. At the Chuck E. Cheese, man, we've seen story after story after story of people either getting in like big ass brawls at the Chuck E. Cheese, people getting shot at the Chuck E. Cheese, people getting stabbed at the Chuck E. Cheese. Like, is it the puppets? Is it in the food? It can't just be the beer, man, because all they serving there is beer. Like, as far as alcoholic content is concerned, all they got is the beer. It ain't like you can go get you a motherfucking Incredible Hulk at the Chuck E. Cheese, man. You can't get a Washington apple at the Chuck E. Cheese. You can't get a Sex on the Beach at the Chuck E. Cheese, man. What the fuck is going on at the Chuck E. Cheese where these kids are out there? You're supposed to be there for the kids anyway. The kids are supposed to be there having a good time, celebrating birthdays and shit, maybe celebrating good grades and shit. But the parents, man, the parents are going to the Chuck E. Cheese to turn the fuck up. What's happening at Chuck E. Cheese, man? Chuck E. Cheese is like the ghetto of birthday parties now. I remember like coming up, man, Chuck E. Cheese was like the shit. Like, I don't know if I sometimes I get them confused, right? Because I'm a little old enough to remember like when it was like Showbiz Pizza. Now I think like Showbiz and Chuck E. Cheese was the same thing, and like they just like renamed it Chuck E. Cheese. But some people have told me that like, no, it was like Chuck E. Cheese is like its own thing. It had never had any sort of like affiliation with the Showbiz Pizza or whatever. And I remember here in Michigan, we had some shit called Major Magics back in the day, man. And I remember like them being magical places with some scary ass puppets and shit. And you could never really get me to sit down and watch the puppets perform or whatever. But all I knew was I went to go jump in the balls and play in the balls and play video games and ride the rides and stuff. Meanwhile, I had no idea, like mean mugging each other. Like you got beef and shit between baby mamas and baby daddies and shit. Because y'all have, you gonna take Tyrell to Chuck E. Cheese, but you can't take Ray Sean to Chuck E. Cheese, like, you know, that sort of shit, man. But Chuck E. Cheese, man, people are getting shot and killed at the Chuck E. Cheese. That's crazy. That's in the news, though, man. That's in the news. Another story that we got here in the news, man. And this is something. I mean, not that this wasn't serious or nothing like that, but this is something that has it kind of like has been sticking in my craw over the course of this entire political season. But we get the story here out of NBC News, and it's basically talking about how a fake persona laid the groundwork for a Hunter Biden conspiracy deluge, right? All right, like I said, this comes out of NBCnews.com. But I want y'all to pay attention to this. It says 1 month before a purported leak of files from Hunter Biden's laptop, a fake intelligence document about him went viral on right-wing internet, asserting that an elaborate conspiracy theory involving former Vice President Joe Biden's son in business in China. The document, a 64-page composition that was later disseminated by close associates of President Donald Trump, appears to be the work of a fake intelligence firm called Typhoon Investigations, according to researchers in public documents. The author of the document, a self-identified Swiss security analyst named Martin Aspen, is a fabricated identity, according to analysis by disinformation researchers who also concluded that Aspen's profile picture was created with an artificial intelligence face generator. The intelligence firm that Aspen lists as his previous employer said that no one by that name had ever existed or ever worked for the company, and that no one by that name lives in Switzerland, according to public records and social media researchers. One of the original posters of the document, a blogger and professor named Christopher Balding, took credit for writing parts of it when asked about it and said Aspen does not exist. Despite the document's questionable authorship and anonymous sourcing, its claims that Hunter Biden has a problematic connection to the Communist Party of China has been used by people who oppose the Chinese government, as well as by far-right influencers, to baselessly accuse candidate Joe Biden of being beholden to the Chinese government. The document and its wider spread have become part of an effort to smear Hunter Biden and weaken Joe Biden's presidential campaign, which moved from the fringes of internet to more mainstream conservative outlets. An unverified leak of documents, including salacious pictures of what President Donald Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, and a Delaware Apple repair store owner claimed to be Hunter Biden's hard drive, were published in the New York Post on October 14th. Associates close to Trump, including Giuliani and former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon, have promised more blockbuster leaks and secrets, which have yet to materialize. Now, here's the thing, man. As we start wrapping up this 2020 political season and everything, and as we talk about who's endorsing whom, and folks talking about whether or not one side is as bad as the other, or we do the false equivalency game. This is the reason right here. Well, this is one reason. This is one of the reasons why you will never be able to do the false equivalency game between Joe Biden and Donald Trump to me. And this is why I will never buy it. Because we only see this sort of shit happening on one side of the aisle. We only see this one. Keep in mind, Donald Trump was fucking impeached this year. Impeached because he was trying to tie Joe Biden's son into some nefarious shit and to get dirt on Joe Biden to try to weaken him in the presidential election. Because out of all of the presidential candidates, no matter how much Joe Biden isn't the choice that many of us had, right? Like, he wasn't even in my top 3, top 4, top 5. He wasn't even in that, right? But no matter how we may have felt about Joe Biden, Donald Trump knew that Joe Biden was a threat to him, right? Joe Biden has appealed to a vast swath of people, whether they be like left-wing folks, whether they be moderate folks. You got Republicans saying, like, man, as bad as shit is right now, I'm willing to vote for this motherfucker, right? That's pretty much where it is. And so you've got, just the other night, Tucker Carlson also was purporting some sort of like bombshell documentation that he had, so purported to have evidence of Hunter Biden and some sort of conspiratorial materials that he had shipped to him, and those things came up missing. Like they came up missing, like some sort of way, like the deep state got a hold to these documents and they disappeared them and everything else. And then we find out later that UPS found the shit. It got lost in the motherfucking mail, and they found it and they could send the shit right along, right? But they've been promoting all sorts of like corruption conspiracy theories in an effort to weaken Joe Biden as a presidential nominee. We haven't seen this coming the other way. It's all coming one way. You've got fraudulent. You've got fraudulent fucking documentation about made up by a made up operative, right? Like, say what you want about the dossier that like came up about Donald Trump like 4 years ago. At least they could actually like, no, okay, so we know there was this guy. I forget the guy's name right now, but we know it's this guy. He actually does exist. They came up with an entirely fictitious person, even had a computer fucking artificially generate an image. So we're like, okay, we're gonna create this person, we're gonna create this face, and then we're gonna say he's the intelligence analyst who came up with this information, and all of it is fucking phony. And so for all of you who are listening to the sound of my voice, who would even entertain that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are two sides of the same coin, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Fuck you. Indeed. There's no way in hell to me that you can equivocate these two at this moment, at this time, with so much on the line. No way in hell that they would come up, they would go to this length, in addition to trying to purge voters from the rolls, trying to make voters pay a poll tax in order to have their franchise reinstated. Shout out to Florida. In addition to leaving one drop box per county. Shout out to Ohio. Shout out to shout out to Texas. In addition to ballots or absentee ballot requests coming up missing. Shout out to Detroit, because there are ballots that, like absentee ballots, that came up missing. In addition to the post office being sabotaged so that those things couldn't get there in time and your vote to be counted in time. In addition to Republicans coming up with fake ballot drop boxes in California. In addition to them trying to purge, voters from the ballot, like all these different things in order for the result to not be what they eventually know it should be, which is them them getting voted the fuck up out of office. They're pulling out all of the fucking stops. It's a death grip on power. Because I think that there's a lot of Republicans who feel as though because they cast their lot with Donald Trump and they went in so gung ho for Donald Trump that that there's a reckoning coming. There could be a reckoning coming, and if people are voting in the ways in which I think people should be voting, and as we see the absentee ballots and the early vote total start to come in, it may be a bloodbath for Republicans come Tuesday, hopefully. Because it has to be in order for us to kind of see the results in which we want to see. But man, these people, for one, they think you're stupid. They think you are dumb. And by and large, man, truthfully speaking, a lot of folks that I'm seeing on my social media, they ain't far off. They are not that far off, man. Some of y'all really are buying the shit. Y'all taking a banana in the tailpipe. True indeed, man. True indeed. But they are coming up with fictitious intelligence officers. They even have computers coming up with artificially intelligence created images to come up with this, these people, in order to get you to believe that Joe Biden's son is corrupt, and therefore, by extension, Joe Biden himself is corrupt. And never mind all of the shit that we've seen the last 3.5 years, man. It's crazy, man. But that's been the news. But y'all know what time it is. All right. our first story here in Blue Blazes is none other. Well, it has to do with Mike Tyson, man. Mike Tyson is in Blue Blazes. Not only is Mike Tyson in Blue Blazes, but Boosie Badass is also in Blue Blazes. Now, the reason why Mike Tyson and Boosie Badass are both in the Blue Blazes segment here is that I don't know if y'all knew this, but your man Mike Tyson got a goddamn podcast, y'all. No, seriously. Mike Tyson got a podcast, man. You know, everybody got podcasts now, man. Podcasts is like, you know, taking over the world and shit. I remember 10 years ago, all these motherfuckers were making fun of podcasts. Now look at them, right? But no, man, but Mike Tyson has a podcast. I'm sorry. Oh shit. I want this to stop. I want this to stop. I said I want this to stop. What the fuck? All right. But yeah, man, Mike Tyson has a podcast, and he had Boosie Badass on his podcast. And while he was on the podcast, while Boosie Badass is on Mike Tyson's podcast, Mike Tyson actually asked him why Boosie has so much shit to say about Dwayne Wade's transgender daughter, Zaya Wade, on social media. Yeah, man. So let me go ahead and pull this up. I'm gonna pull this up so you guys can watch right along with me, but I'm also gonna time this because it's like this is the entire fucking podcast, and we don't want to play the entire podcast. We just want to play the bit that we're gonna talk about tonight. So let me pull this up so you guys can watch right along with your man Spann. All right. Did it come up? Okay, there it is. Okay, so here we go. Let's see what Mike and Boosie's talking about. Let's see how Mike confronts Boosie Badass about the comments about Zaya Wade.
I really commented on the Dwayne Wade situation because I got offended because it's a child. You know, that's why I really got offended, you know, and that's why I really said if it was a 19-year-old, 18-year-old person, I probably would. I know I wouldn't have said it anyway.
Okay, so what Boosie just said right there actually, truthfully, like kind of he's echoing the sentiment that I hear a lot within the community, right? Within a lot of brothers, with like, you know, with like just in the people that I'm around quite a bit. He's echoing that sentiment. And sometimes I'll be like, yo, am I the weirdo, right? But he's echoing a sentiment that's not necessarily uncommon. Boosie's thing is, well, Zaya Wade is a child. Zaya Wade, being a child, can't make the decision for themselves. Therefore, Zaya Wade, I got offended because, you know, they allowed this child to make this decision for themselves. And there's a couple things that's wrong with it. Well, there's a couple things where, like, I don't necessarily buy it from Boosie when he says he was offended, right? Or like because about them being a child, because we're talking to somebody who's openly admitted to getting a grown woman to perform oral sex on not only his son, but also his nephews, right? They were children when you decided that you were going to get a woman to perform fellatio on your family, on your son, on your nephews. They were children. That was a sexual act. The woman who performed that sexual act was guilty of statutory rape. You being able, like, paying her or whatever the fuck it was that you did to entice her to do such a thing, are also guilty of facilitating a statutory rape by having a woman come and perform fellatio on said son, on said nephews. You had absolutely no problem with making the decision for them that they were going to be straight and facilitating that by having heterosexual sex with a woman while they were minors, right? All right, let's get that out of the way. But the thing that kills me about this is that you've got people who are Boosie's age. I think Boosie's like 37 years old. You got people who act as though kids don't know who they are, as if kids as if we hadn't lived as kids once before, right? As if we didn't have our own ideas about shit as kids when we were kids, right? There was a lot of things that we thought about, or or ideas that we had as children that sometimes if our parents just didn't like it, we had to suppress those ideas because we knew our parents didn't approve. But it didn't change how we felt about the shit. We just knew our parents wouldn't approve, and so we suppressed a lot of shit. We didn't do those things around those people because, I might get my ass whooped for doing this sort of shit. But this is something that I like doing, right? So the idea that this child, Zaya Wade, couldn't make the decision or didn't know themselves enough that they could make a decision to say, like, I don't feel like, and I don't operate like, and I'm not in a mode like my brother who grew up in the same fucking house that I did. I don't feel like that. I feel like I'm something else. I feel like there's something else going on with me, and I want to live in that. I want to embrace that. I want to lean into that. Right? The thing is, there's a lot of people, Boosie included, and I actually had this conversation a bit on Castbox with a fellow Detroit area podcast. I'm not going to say it in it because it's not important. But there's a lot of people who feel like when they think about transgender, when they think about the LGBTQ community, period. But when they think about these things, they're thinking about the sexual act itself. That's the only thing that they're thinking about at this time. They're thinking about the sexual act itself. So Boosie is like, he instantly went to, don't cut his dick off, man. Y'all remember the Instagram, don't cut his dick off, man. Never mind whether or not that was a discussion that like Dwayne Wade and Zion Wade had amongst themselves. It's none of your fucking business whether or not they decide to do that or not. Actually, it's Zion Wade's decision what to do with the genitalia. Why do you care so much about the genitalia? But also, who's like they confuse gender identity with sexual orientation. This is the biggest confusion that a lot of folks have when you start talking about this issue. And this is why he's so offended, because he thought about all he heard was not only is Zaya Wade identifying as a girl or as a woman, but that also means that Zaya Wade may also be attracted to men, and Zaya Wade was born a male, right? He's identified as a male. So he instantly goes to the sexual aspect of it. Don't cut his dick off, D-Wade, man. That's going too far. That's going too far. You don't even know what those conversations were like within that family. Obviously, it's really none of your fucking business. Right? But you got a bunch of brothers. You got a gang of folks, man. It ain't even just brothers. It's sisters doing this. But you got a lot of people who confuse gender identity with sexual orientation. It'll blow their fucking mind when they find out that somebody who was born a male identifies as a woman, but is still attracted to women. Or a woman who was born, or a male who was born female, who is still attracted to men. Right? Now I'm confusing myself. I probably didn't fuck that all up. But y'all get what I'm saying. Y'all get what I'm saying. Just because like the gender identity is separate from your sexual orientation. And so many people conflate these two things to be one thing. And that's what Boosie does. That's what a lot of people do. But Boosie has the platform. Boosie has millions of people who listen to him. And also, he's got his own fucking son out here talking about saying, yo, man, I know some women that'll make his son come like straight as an arrow and all this other shit. Even his kids are talking the same shit. So it was interesting to see how, like Mike Tyson asked Boosie, like, not even just so much ask Boosie, are you gay or nothing, but like even to put that out there. Like, because could you imagine if this conversation was happening and it wasn't Mike Tyson on the other end of this asking these questions, how much more rah-rah would have been coming about a Boosie? You know what I'm saying? I think the fact that it's Mike Tyson sitting in front of him asking him this question, like, he of everybody got a plan until they get hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different vibe when you sitting in front of like when you know you might not necessarily be the baddest nigga in the room, and now you sitting with the baddest nigga in the room, and he asks you some questions, and like your energy is a little different. And so the way in which Boosie is like interacting with Mike right now, although it might be like be totally like, yo, I respect Mike, this, that, and the other, but also like I might get my ass whooped if I don't act right. Right? So yeah, let's let this keep playing though.
But I feel like you know.
I'm just saying, I'm not judging you.
Yeah.
Don't ever think I'm here judging you. I'm just trying to understand you.
Yeah. And
I got some demons. You ain't in my world.
Yeah.
I'll whoop your ass, man, if you get out of the pocket.
It was just like I just felt like that's a child. I feel like a child ain't at 12 can't make that decision. I feel like that's just how I feel. And certain things I talk about on like that, I just feel like that was going too far. Like calling him or her, like that's just going too far.
So check this out. Here's another thing too, especially when we start talking about the ages of these kids and stuff. Like he's talking about, I think that's too far. I don't think they're old enough to make that decision and everything else. And you had a whole lot of people who were like championing like Boosie, because there's a lot of people who agree with Boosie. Mike Tyson even says he agrees with Boosie. The question that I would have for those folks is, where is that same energy when we're talking about R. Kelly and how R. Kelly is dealing with and how R. Kelly is talking about, or better yet, we know that R. Kelly was known to deal with like underage girls, right? We know this. Why don't y'all have that same motherfucking energy for the women or the girls that R. Kelly victimized, right? We talking about like the first thing y'all go to is like, well, where was their parents at? You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way in hell my daughter gonna be caught by herself with no R. Kelly. I ain't doing that. Like, I ain't no way. Ain't gonna happen, right? Y'all will blame the parents of these young ladies for being in the midst with R. Kelly while he's doing these things to them. And yet, somehow Boosie is seen as a champion in some of y'all while he's talking about putting his sons in a position to where like they're underage and he's getting them served with fellatio with an of-age woman, but they're kids. He's facilitating statutory rape. But he's got an issue with Zaya Wade being or identifying themselves as a transgender girl or a transgender woman. Like, make that make sense to me. Make that make sense to me. And like I said, the energy is different in this room because, of course, again, sitting in front of fucking Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson might blow his motherfucking whole head off his head. One punch, But let's go. Yeah, so and Mike Tyson's got his shit is called hot boxing. So for those of you who are podcast fans and you want to listen to Mike Tyson's thoughts on a lot of shit, he interviews quite a few people. He got fucking Eminem, Mike Epps, Joe Budden, Rick Ross, like the real Rick Ross, not the rapper. Busy Bone on this motherfucker, T.I. on this goddamn thing. So if y'all like listening to celebrities and podcasts, man, go ahead and check that out, man. Mike Tyson's hot boxing is on YouTube. So go ahead and check that out. But that's in Blue Blazes. Another story that we got here in Blue Blazes is there's a Detroit couple who got arrested because not only were they stealing from the unemployment office, but they were stealing from the unemployment office so much that they got over $2.5 million fucking dollars. I ain't lying. They got $2.5 million, and the reason that why they got caught is because, of course, these niggas are posting this shit on Instagram. Yeah, so let's read the story. This comes at fox2detroit.com. As a matter of fact, there's video attached to this story, so we're gonna go ahead and pull that video up so you guys can watch right along with us here at the Spann Report. So let me pull that up for you guys. All right, and let's see. Come on, man. Here we go. Check this out, y'all.
Facing serious charges tonight in a scheme to steal millions in unemployment benefits.
Federal investigators arresting the couple after they allegedly posted pictures of their purchases on Instagram. Here's Fox 2's Dave Spencer.
In the midst of a pandemic, when the unemployment rate in Michigan is currently 8.5% and thousands are suffering, criminals are preying on the system designed to help.
We're looking at some of the biggest fraud in decades, or even in a generation, all across the country.
U.S. Attorney Matthew Schneider is talking about wire fraud. A couple from Detroit accused of working with somebody contracted by the state with access to unemployment money. It works like this. The suspects file a claim. The insider will then override a fraud alert and cut a check, and allegedly kept cutting checks to the tune of $2.5 million.
An employee was trying to override those fraud alerts. And when then the override button is hit, that triggers an alert that people look at.
Because of the scope and the frequency of the fraud, it can take a while before the feds catch on. But once they do,
Like shooting fish in a barrel, because it's all tracked. Also, and so the people think they can get away with it. They're wrong.
the issue is they're hurting people in serious need. And in this case, the suspects posted about it on social media.
It's not just taking away money from the people who deserve it, but it's flaunting and bragging and using it for elaborate purposes.
It's alleged that Johnny Richardson and Mike
He got the buffs on.
post on Instagram pictures of the stuff they bought with the stolen money.
Brand new car or jewelry or Louis Vuitton materials. I mean, that's horrible because it just adds to the insult of the person who's unemployed.
Back in July, the U.S. attorney told us about the arrest of Brandy Hawkins, the alleged unemployment insider. Now, the Detroit couple is looking at serious time as well if convicted.
And that can be up to 20 years in federal prison.
Dave Spencer, Fox 2 News.
Imagine getting motherfucking 20 years flexing for motherfuckers on Instagram, people you don't know, and people who don't give a fuck about you. Imagine that. Imagine that. Like that. And we've talked about this, man. Like we were talking about this last week when there was the rapper out in California who was like even rapping in his music videos about like, yo, you selling cocaine, all I gotta do is file a claim and all that other shit. Like it was jokes and shit. Like they out here scamming the fucking unemployment system or whatever else. But that's traced money, man. Like they gotta like I don't get it. I don't get like this thing where like you've got to like you're doing crimes, but then you got to brag about the crimes on social media. Like everybody got to know you out here scamming. Like everybody got to know, including the feds. Like they might not necessarily catch up with you while you doing the shit, like you in the throes of it, but eventually they will. And so I'm trying to understand like what happened to the days of, and I'm about to sound like an old nigga here again, but what happened to the days of, hey man, like you do the shit and you just like, you know, move in the shadows and shit. Everybody ain't got to know your business, man. This shit ain't for the gram. Everything ain't for the gram, man. They stealing money and like acting like all of a sudden like I'm balling, nigga. Like not only that, you're gonna have some niggas that's jealous of you who also are following you on Instagram. You got motherfuckers who are jealous of you, like, hey man, look at the shit this nigga got over here, man. Like, where the fuck he get all that? I know when this nigga working at Best Buy, nigga. Like, nigga, how much is Best Buy paying, nigga? Like, this nigga got a Maserati, nigga. How the fuck he get that? And then they gonna tell on you because they gonna be like, oh boy, on fucking Bella. Like, I'm gonna drop a dime on this bitch, man. I don't like that shit. I don't like that shit with bananas and shit hanging off their lips or whatever the fuck, right? But yo, man, I told y'all last week. I'm gonna tell y'all again this week, man. Scammers, they own y'all ass, man. They own y'all ass. Gotta be smarter if you're gonna be scamming and shit. I ain't, you know, for us regular folks who out here working 9 to 5s and shit, like getting honest or whatever, you know, we ain't gotta worry about that kind of shit. But you niggas over there that scamming, you niggas, they own y'all ass. They coming to get you. All right, they coming to get you. All right, so that's in Blue Blazers. Another story that we got here in Blue Blazers, man. This kind of hurt my heart, man. Because I can remember a time where like people looked up to this nigga, man. Real talk. And I'm sure some people probably still do, but I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. Like these rappers have gotten me disillusioned, man. A lot of these rappers have like going on. They have gone out of their way to expose themselves as dumbasses. And outside of listening to these niggas rap, I don't know if I could actually really listen to these niggas outside of them rapping because they be on some dumb shit, right? So the latest rapper to expose himself as a complete and utter dumbass is KRS-One, man. You would think, right? You would think that, like, yo, KRS-One, knowledge reigns supreme over everyone. That's what KRS-One stands for. Knowledge reigns supreme. Where the fuck was his knowledge on this one? Right? Where the fuck was the knowledge? So, KRS-One went on Instagram, went on the gram, and he was having a conversation with comedian Mike Epps. I like Mike Epps. I think Mike Epps is funny. I've seen Mike Epps in concert a couple times, man. I think Mike Epps is funny. But he had a conversation with Mike Epps on Instagram where he talked about voting being an absolute joke.
That's the dumbest thing no wonder you get D's and everything.
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna pull this video up so you guys can watch right along with your man Spann, of course. But we're gonna listen to KRS-One talk about voting and why it's a joke. All right, so check this out, y'all. Real quick. You're a revolutionary. How many revolutionaries do you know leave like weapons and tools on the table for their enemies to use against them? Somebody hit me to that. Somebody hit me to that. How many revolutionaries, real revolutionaries, do you know that got time to be on Instagram talking with comedians about how foolish it is to vote? How many revolutionaries do you know do that sort of thing? The kind of revolutionaries that like we grew up idolizing were those who somehow became like they became political prisoners, right? We talk about Assata Shakur. We talk about the Black Panthers and Bobby Seale and Huey Newton and like the amount of pressure that the government took upon them or put upon them in order to marginalize them, in order to minimize them, in order to effectively minimize their influence upon the people with whom they were inspiring. Those were the revolutionaries, right? Could we imagine Joanne Chesimard, aka Assata Shakur, going on Instagram telling you how foolish it is to vote? Could you imagine Angela Davis going on fucking Instagram telling you how foolish it is to vote? Revolutionaries, right? He's a self-proclaimed revolutionary. Is he on anybody's FBI watch list? Is the Department of Homeland Security really worried about what the fuck KRS-One is talking about right now? No. Especially not Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security. Why? Because he's telling black people that their vote is a fucking joke. He's essentially echoing the sentiments of the enemy. The people who don't want you to vote anyway. The people who want to disenfranchise you. The people who are telling you that, like, no, like, we don't need you to absentee ballot. Why would you do that in a pandemic? He's echoing the sentiments of the people who already are trying to marginalize your vote by telling you that voting is a joke. But he's a revolutionary. Fuck out of here, man. But I'll let this continue. I only got 16 seconds into this shit now. I'm already pissed off. It's called electoral, dog. Electoral. Come on, man. You're a revolutionary. Knowledge reigns supreme. Show us where the knowledge is reigning supreme with you. Okay, so here's the other part that I thought was real kind of like funny. Because Mike Epps is acting like this nigga just said some real profound, deep shit. He hasn't. Like these are things that you learned in 6th grade civics class. He's acting as though KRS-One said some deep and profound shit. Say that shit again, man. Say that shit again. Nah, man, this is some shit that you learn in 6th grade civics class. When you vote, there's an electoral college. The electoral college representative in your state votes on behalf of the people in that state. Each state has a set number of representatives in the electoral college, and they give their votes based upon the popular vote of the state with which they represent. Right? Now we've had instances of, we've had instances of electoral college representatives who wanted to become what they call faithless representatives, where they, despite what the people in their state chose, wanted to vote an opposite way. That thing has gone to court a few times, and it's been overturned at every turn, right? But there have been representatives who wanted a different vote for president, but they couldn't because, again, they represent the people, and the people in the state, whoever wins the popular vote gets that state's representatives, right? Whoever wins the popular vote gets that state representatives. So although the electoral college, and this is what like a lot of people have been talking about, like abolishing the electoral college, because we talk about Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton won in 2016. She won by over 3 million votes when it came to the popular vote. But because of the electoral college, and because of some people not voting in certain pockets of certain states, Donald Trump is why we have Donald Trump in the office right now. This is like the second time in 20 years that the person who got the least amount of votes won the electoral college. The first time was George W. Bush in the year 2000. And the reason why George W. Bush won the electoral college in the year 2000 was because the Supreme Court stopped the recounts in Florida when they were, for those of us who are old enough to remember this shit, Florida was a shit show when it came to like hanging chads and like how they counted the ballots and everything else. George W. Bush at the time was giving Florida, but the vote was in like razor thin, like real close. They were instituting recounts, and the Supreme Court stopped the recounts so where they couldn't come to the completion. So when they stopped the recounts, when they couldn't come to the completion, they essentially awarded George W. Bush the state of Florida, giving him the presidency. Never mind the fact that George W. Bush's brother was the governor of the state. Never mind the fact that like George W. Bush's the Secretary of State was also a Republican. Like, be that as it may, the Electoral College operates as a representative of the state and the will of the people by voting for the presidential candidate that the popular vote in the state represents. That's what happens. So him acting as KRS-One, acting as though he's dropping heat right now. Mike Epps acting right now as though he's dropping heat. This is 6th grade shit, bruh. We all learned this shit back in the day. You're not telling us nothing we don't know. But here's the problem. For someone like myself, for someone like a lot of folks that like I kind of like, congregate with, like this isn't new information for us. There's a lot of people who isn't privy to this unfortunate 6th grade shit, and they're looking at this as though KRS-One is saying some really deep, profound shit, man. This is why they two sides of the same coin, man. This is why, man, I don't know, man. Joe Biden, the crime bill, man. This, I don't know, man. I don't know. The shit ain't that deep. He ain't saying nothing revolutionary. Most of the revolutionaries are on exile. They ain't on fucking Instagram talking to Mike Epps about the Electoral College. you know. But I'm gonna like play this out. It's bullshit so much that, again, as we talk about what's going on in Florida, when they talk about taking the former felons right away from them by instituting a poll tax, by purging people from the rolls, by closing polling places, by having one drop box per county in Ohio and Texas, by creating fake fucking drop boxes in California. If it didn't fucking count, why are they trying so hard to take it away from you? Why are they trying so hard, bro? It don't mean shit, right? Your vote don't mean a goddamn thing. Why are they trying so fucking hard to take it away from you? KRS-One, knowledge reigns supreme. Come on, man. Come on, man. What the fuck is wrong with, like, rappers? Y'all taking like huge fucking L's these last fucking, like this last month and a half. The hugest of L's. Hold all of them. Because y'all some of the dumbest motherfuckers on the face of the planet right now. Real talk. And I hate to say that shit, but y'all are exhibiting some of the dumbest shit on the face of the fucking planet right now. The dumbest. And the shit that like bothers me the most is that, like, to some degree, these were niggas that I like, kind of like, you know, looked up to as a kid, you know what I'm saying? Or as a teenager or whatever. I thought these niggas was on some shit. And then you get grown and you realize these niggas just as dumb as the niggas on the block that you came up with. Some of these niggas ain't really talking about a motherfucking thing. KRS-One is telling you that your vote don't mean a goddamn thing. Meanwhile, the Republican Party is trying to take that shit away from you. Why? If it didn't mean shit. Yeah, that's not how that happened. That's not how that happened. But if you don't pay attention to this sort of shit, you would think that KRS-One was speaking some real shit. That's not how that happened. If you understand this motherfucking system, silly shit like this don't fucking move you. It moves me in the sense that, like, I know people look at this shit. I know people like watch this sort of shit and like, and it's a battle against dumb shit, right? Because there's a lot of fucking people who are promoting apathy at this particular moment in time, and this is the most dangerous moment in America for you to be promoting apathy. We don't need that shit. Apathy is what got us in this shit in the first fucking place. Believing that our votes, that our voices didn't fucking matter in this is what got us in this shit. So I ain't got no motherfucking room, no motherfucking patience for any of these stupid niggas who are out here promoting this apathy, who are promoting this level of fucking dumbassery. I ain't got time for this shit. I really don't. And low key, this nigga almost made ass hat of the week, man. Real talk. Real talk. KRS-One. Knowledge reigns supreme, my ass. Almost made ass hat of the week this week. But he didn't. That's how y'all know there's some other fuck shit going on. But yo, man, that's in Blue Blazers, man. While we talking rappers and dumbass rappers, while we talking this shit about these dumbass rappers, Ice Cube. Low key, like, I'm really tired of talking about Ice Cube. I really am. I'm tired of Ice Cube. I'm tired of having these conversations about Ice Cube. I'm tired of Cube like centering himself in this whole shit about this presidential nominee and being a representative for black people and everything. I'm sick of this shit. Real talk. Hopefully, this is the last time we have to talk about Ice Cube, man. But Ice Cube, while he was on, the Cocktails with Queen show. This is the name of the show that that's on Fox Soul that he was on. And Ice Cube was on that show, and shout out to Claudia Jordan, because Claudia Jordan seemed to be the one who was asking like the most pointed motherfucking questions of Ice Cube. But apparently Ice Cube was slated to be on a Zoom call with vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris, and he decided that he didn't want to be on the call because she was also going to be on that call with some other motherfucking celebrities, and he thought that was going to be what should I say, non-productive. Yeah, man. Let me pull this video up because your man's. I said this a few weeks ago. I said this last week. I probably said it the week before last. But Ice Cube has been telling y'all. He's been telling on himself without really, like, he's been saying it without saying it. Ice Cube is a Trump supporter. He's saying it without saying it. He don't have the specific, like he said he was a fucking, I'm undecided. And y'all know how I feel about that undecided shit. Nigga, you've had three and a half years of this shit. You know whether or not you gonna fuck with this dude or not. Miss me with that shit. Many of your supposedly undecided voters are people who either are trying to figure out a way to validate their vote for Trump, figure out a way to try to rationalize that shit, or whatever else. Nobody, I believe, who's seen 3.5 years of this shit is undecided without necessarily. I feel like this. You're not undecided. You want to figure out a way that you can rationalize your vote for Trump. That's how I feel about it, right? Nobody's undecided at this point. Nobody. And I think to a large degree, some of the people who are talking about their undecided voters, they get off on the attention. They get off on people like trying to, like, it's like almost like you want people to court you and all this. I want you guys to earn my vote. Earn my nigga. What? I gotta fall in love with a candidate. Nigga, when was that? When have we ever been required to fall in love with a candidate? Nigga, what are your policies? What are you planning on doing for us? What does your policy mean for me and my community? But Ice Cube was asked about, because he was going around telling people that, like, yo, I met with the Biden campaign. They told me they like 85% of what was in my contract with Black America. And I was going to, they were going to meet with me after the election. And then I met with the Trump campaign. And they were going to, they said, let's get together, let's meet or whatever. And, part of my contract with Black America became a part of the Platinum Plan, that one-page ass plan that the Trump administration came up with. Now, here's another thing I've been thinking about. Here's another tale for some of you niggas, too. The Lift Every Voice plan that Joe Biden has had for Black America has been on his website since March. Since fucking March, man. March. Donald Trump released it. And not only that, the Joe Biden plan, 22 pages long. It's a pretty, it's quite a bit in there. Some of which had shit with the, the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, has already forwarded legislation that has passed the House of Representatives that has been sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk. The Senate Majority Leader hasn't passed the Senate because the Senate has been preoccupied with confirming conservative judges. They just confirmed another Supreme Court justice. And they also told you, fuck your COVID-19 relief package. We'll get to that after the election. But we made sure to get that Supreme Court justice through, right? Keep that in mind. Trump releases a platinum plan for Black America last month with supposed input from Ice Cube. Ice Cube didn't meet with Donald Trump, per his words. Ice Cube didn't meet with Mike Pence, per his words. But he met with like motherfuckers like Jared Kushner, Katrina Pearson is on Twitter and shit. He said he never met Katrina Pearson or whatever else, but she's talking about Ice Cube leading it. And he confirmed that he had met with, he had talked with some people in the Trump administration. This is what got Ice Cube in the hot water that he was in with most of Black America, right? But you mean to tell me that you was too good to meet with the present day nominee for vice president of the United States because you were upset that you couldn't get a one-on-one, that it was going to be with some other entertainers? Now, mind you, I know a lot of people like your Spann, man, you might be going hard on these entertainers and shit because they don't agree with you, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I hear you. And truthfully speaking, I hate to be one of those people that be like, yo, man, you should probably stay in your lane, right? Because I'm a pipe fitter. They probably telling me the same shit. Yo, Spann, stay in your lane. You're a pipe fitter. Shut the fuck up, right? However, Ice Cube actually had his nose turned up at being on a call with the nominee, the Democratic nominee for vice president of the United States, because he was going to be on that call with other entertainers. But you got this plan that you're trying to promote, right? You didn't even get this level of access from the people who are promoting you, access, like helping them with their plan. The platinum plan, they was giving you credit on that shit. Mike Pence didn't meet with you. Donald Trump didn't meet with you. But you turning your nose up at meeting Kamala Harris? Nigga, what? Nigga, what? So, Claudia Jordan asked this nigga about this on their show. And, yeah, let me pull this up so y'all can watch right along with it. But check this out, man. Yeah. Check this out.
And joining us now is a legendary rapper and film producer who is making headlines. We definitely appreciate that. So thank you. I want to ask you just out the gate how you're doing. You know, how have you been coping with the pandemic, the civil unrest?
Oh shit! I thought I had this at the timestamp.
That's what I heard. That's what the sound bites.
Where's my timestamp?
So I started working on had politicians in place for a long time, and they had, so then we started to get contacted from the Democrats on September 8th. And then we started talking to them. Then we got contacted by the Republicans. So that's when the ball started rolling. Then. So it's not just like I just jumped into anything. I mean, I just did the content.
Black people elected.
Wait a second.
Because I think that is, I think that's a slippery slope to walk down, because as we saw with a lot of progress that's been made. It's not as simple as you get elected and bam, you can make all the changes one man. Why?
I never said that 7,000 people, black people, have never did anything. I said that since the 60s, there's been over 7,000 black politicians elected in prominent positions, and ours. Okay, so timestamp isn't here. I thought I had this timestamp, but let me go ahead and read this article because it actually speaks to this issue with Cube supposedly blowing off a meeting with Kamala Harris. And so we get this story here. This comes out of thegrio.com. It says that Ice Cube has been adamant that Democrats told him to hold off until the election, after the election, before making demands for his contract with Black America. However, he admitted that he blew off a Zoom call with vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris. The NWA rapper and actor recently revealed to Fox Soul's Cocktails with Queens that features Claudia Jordan, Vivica A. Fox, Lisa Ray McCoy, and Selena Johnson, that he turned down a request by the California senator to be a part of a Zoom call. He didn't want to be lumped in with other entertainers and passed the offer. Kamala Harris's folks reached out to you and wanted you to be on the Zoom call because they thought your voice was important. Why did you choose not to participate in that? Jordan asked. We had spent a lot of people's time putting the contract with Black America together, and I just thought that getting on a Zoom call with 12 other entertainers, all shooting what they believe needs to be done, to me wasn't going to be productive, Cube said. Now, again, make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me that the vice presidential candidate of these United States wanting to speak with you about your contract with Black America
is somehow going to be less productive because you're also going to be on the call with other quote unquote entertainers, right? This shit screams ego, bruh. This shit screams ego. In a time where, again, we used the clip last week where we were talking about Ice Cube and he was on here, him and Claudia Jordan kind of get into it, where they asked him about the black women agenda that he had in there, and he told her to write one up because you want me to write up an agenda for black women? I ain't a black woman, so I don't know how many words you want it to be, right? The nigga is telling on y'all. He's telling without telling. And I at this point, I'm just kind of like, I wish y'all would like kind of take heed to it. And also, I'll be glad when November 3rd finally rolls the fuck around so we don't even have to talk about this shit no more. We could be talking about some happy shit like Joe Biden being president of the United States, and we don't have to deal with, I mean, we'll have to deal with Donald Trump at least until January like 20th or whatever the fuck. Hopefully y'all armed the fuck up in case these Trump people is acting ass. But, you know, that's been Blue Blazers, y'all. But y'all know what time it is. Yeah, that's enough of that shit. Proud to be an American time here at the Spann Report podcast. And our first story here, and proud to be an American, is a judge in Michigan, has blocked an election day ban on open carry of guns near Michigan polling places, man. All right, we get this story here. This comes out of clickondetroit.com. It says a judge has blocked a sudden ban on the open display of guns near Michigan polling places on election day. Judge Christopher Murray acted Tuesday, just a few hours after hearing a challenge from gun rights groups. They said Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, a Democrat, had exceeded her authority in banning people from openly carrying guns within 100 feet of polling places. Critics argue that Benson failed to go through a formal rulemaking process as required under state law. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel's press secretary, Ryan Jarvie, has issued the following statement. We intend to immediately appeal the judge's decision, as this issue is of significant public interest and importance to our election process. The Michigan Democratic Party also issued a statement on behalf of Chair Lavora Barnes regarding the decision. We are disappointed in today's decision from the Court of Claims. Voters deserve the right to cast their ballot free from intimidation in any form. As Vice President Biden and Senators Harris have stated several times, the soul of our nation is on the ballot this year. Michigan will have record turnout in 2020, regardless of the reluctance of any court to consider the best interest of the voter. We will continue to support Attorney General Nessel and Secretary of State Benson in their efforts to ensure that every voter can safely cast their ballot on November 3rd. The MPD's statement reads. Now, I'm gonna just say this right now, man. I hate to say, like, so as someone who's a Second Amendment proponent, right? As someone who owns firearms, as someone who carries firearms, I can never really understand the need or the want to carry firearms in public out in the open. Just never really been my thing. Also, I can, like, at this particular moment, when we know that the Trump administration has been telling people to, like, you know, be poll watchers, and that the election is going to be rigged. The only way that they can lose this election is for it to be rigged. For a lot of these people to like go to these polling places armed with firearms. Like, keep in mind, they made a real big stink about the Black Panthers. There was like the new Black Panthers. I remember this years ago. I want to say this happened in like 2008, when the new Black Panthers were supposedly standing outside of a polling place in Philadelphia, and they had like clubs or something, like, or like blunt objects or whatever, and they were talking about the Black Panthers are engaged in voter intimidation in Philadelphia, right? With clubs, maybe a bat. But you mean to tell me that y'all are suddenly on the side of like, okay, so we're gonna go to the polls with our guns out in the open. Now, keep in mind, here's the other part that I think is interesting about this. many of the places with which people cast their ballots are in places that are deemed gun-free zones, right? You go to a school where a lot of people cast their ballots, gun-free zone. You go to a church where a lot of people are casting ballots, gun-free zone. You go to a government building where a lot of people are casting ballots, gun-free zone, right? Even in an arena or a theater in Michigan, those are designated gun-free zones. Even if you have a license to carry your shit concealed, that's a gun-free zone. You're not supposed to have a gun in there any fucking way. So the fact that you have people who are now talking about, well, I want to be able to carry my gun to the polling place. And I want to be able to watch you cast your ballot. Again, this is why you will never be able to do the false equivalency shit with me when it comes to Donald Trump and Joe Biden, because these people change the rules as they see fit and as it is politically expedient to them. They are advocating right now to take their guns into gun-free zones, and this is coming from the party who claims to be about law and order. Well, what about the law and order? Suddenly, the Secretary of State said, hey, man, you can't carry your gun into the polling place. Why is that controversial? Have you ever needed to carry a gun into the polling place before? I've been voting 22 years now. Never felt like I needed my strap to go to cast a ballot. And even now, I'm like, well, shit, now that I can vote absentee, I ain't got to go to the polling place ever. Man, fuck y'all. But for those, for the people who have to go there to cast their ballot, I feel bad for them, because now they got Trump supporters maybe standing off to the side, challenging their ballots with a fucking gun on their hip, talking about, hey, I don't believe this person should be able to vote. Their ballot should be challenged. This is nonsense. This is crazy. But that's proud to be an American, man. This is what's happening in motherfucking America, man. A judge blocked that ban, man. And I said, I think open carry is whack. Man, get you a fucking license and carry your shit concealed. Nobody gives a fuck whether or not you get. As a gun owner, man, I every time I see a nigga with his shit out in the open, I'm like, man, you whack ass nigga, man. Cover that shit. Nobody gives a fuck. It just draws attention to you. It screams, nigga, look at me, nigga, look at me. I got a Glock with a 30-round mag in it. You lame ass nigga, man. Some fucking lames, bruh. But that's in Proud to be an American, man. Another story that we got here in Proud to be an American. And again, this is another example of why you can't do this false equivalency shit with me. Donald Trump appointee resigned over the president's order removing job protections from many civil fucking servants. We get the story here. This comes out of the WashingtonPost.com. It says the Trump administration appointed head of a key advisory council on the civil service has resigned over an executive order to strip away protections against political interference in hiring and firing for a large portion of the career federal workforce. The order, which could affect tens of thousands or more career positions involved in making or carrying out policy, is nothing more than a smokescreen for what is clearly an attempt to require the political loyalty of those who advise the president, or failing that, to enable their removal with little, if any, due process. Ronald Sanders wrote in his letter of resignation Sunday from the Federal Salary Council. I simply cannot be a part of an administration that seeks to replace apolitical expertise with political obscience. Career federal employees are legally and duty-bound to be nonpartisan and take an oath to preserve and protect our Constitution and the rule of law, not to be loyal to a particular president or administration. Now, keep in mind that you got a lot of folks who are talking about what Donald Trump is doing for the little guy. Donald Trump is looking out for for the American worker, America first, we first in fucking COVID infections and first in fucking COVID deaths and all this other, but America first, goddamn it, America, we're number one in deaths of COVID and everything else, right? But I'm gonna tell y'all this right now, man. For those of you who would ever believe that Donald Trump gave a fuck about the little guy, I got a bridge between Detroit and Canada to sell you. I do. I got some magic beans in the warehouse too, if y'all want some. You know, like they got beanstalks and shit. You can go meet giants and shit. But no, man, I say that to say this, like, you know, one of the people who could very well possibly lose their jobs behind this sort of executive order that Donald Trump has put forth is someone like Dr. Anthony Fauci, who has become synonymous with, you know, giving the American people the truth about, you know, coronavirus and how we can combat coronavirus and how we should deal with coronavirus. And Donald Trump is a super spreader. He has, you know, he's not taking heat even after getting the shit. He's not taking heed to any of the expert opinions of the doctors who are trying to curb this shit, who are trying to curb this pandemic. We're looking at right now, we've set a record for COVID infections in one day. This month, I was talking on like with a coworker of mine, and I was actually on Twitter talking about this not too long ago. Like we are seeing elevated numbers of COVID infections. We're seeing elevated numbers of COVID deaths. We are more, I don't know if we're more able or better equipped to handle, you know, the COVID infections or whatever else. But what I'm noticing is that, like, yo, when this COVID shit first started, like, yo, people were at home. My job was paying me to stay at the crib. I was at home for a month and a half being paid to just stay at the crib. Like, to not go to work. Just text my supervisor, like, yo, I'm available if y'all need a nigga or whatever. Right? And meanwhile, we're seeing numbers damn near double what we were seeing in March. But it's fucking business as usual. Everybody going back to work. I'm seeing, even in, like, if you watch the news, for a while, man, people were recording the news, or they were reporting the news, and they were like broadcasting from home and shit. You know, now people are going back to the studios or whatever. Like, you're starting to see everybody back in the studios and whatnot. Football is back. Baseball just had their World Series. The NBA was back. The NHL was back. Like, all of this shit, we're back to fucking normal here in America. Meanwhile, COVID is like, man, shit. And it can, but we're not treating it with the same motherfucking level of urgency that we were treating it back in March. Right? And so Trump has enabled a level of fucking cognitive dissonance where we don't even feel like we have to listen to the experts on this shit. If, like, Trump right now with this executive order can say, hey, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Burks, y'all can get the fuck on right now. I don't need y'all. Despite the fact that they've been in the in government for the better part of 30 years, whether or not, and it's not that they were serving this Democratic presidents, they were serving Democratic and Republican candidates. Some of them go back as far as Reagan, right? But what Donald Trump is doing is like, yo, if you don't bend the knee, then you can't work here. Now think about what that means for the average American worker, right? Or when you got union guys who are voting for Donald Trump, talking about he's looking out for the little guy. Yeah, looking out for the little guy, but like saying fuck you to your union who actually negotiated the fucking wages that you have, or the benefits that you have, or the vacation days that you're able to take. This is what's on the ballot, man. Now, it wasn't just on the ballot in 2016. It's on the ballot right fucking now. So, yeah, man. I'll be glad. Hopefully, this nightmare will be over come November 3rd, Tuesday this week, man. Real talk. But yo, man, it's been a long time since we did this. I actually have largely retired this segment. But yo, it's time for our ass hat of the week. And our ass hat of the week this week is none other than Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly, man. Now, for those of you who may not necessarily know who Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly is, he is one of the officers who was involved in the killing of Breonna Taylor. And this asshole had the audacity to sue Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, for emotional distress for shooting off a warning round while they were raiding that goddamn apartment that resulted in the killing of Breonna Taylor. We get the story here. This comes out of CBSNews.com. It says an officer involved in the fatal shooting of Breonna Taylor has filed a civil lawsuit against the 26-year-old's boyfriend for emotional distress, assault, and battery on the night she was killed. The lawsuit claims that Louisville Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly experienced severe trauma, mental anguish, and emotional distress because of Kenneth Walker's actions on March 13th. Mattingly and two other officers entered Taylor's apartment early in the morning that day with a warrant in an attempt to carry out a drug investigation. Walker, a licensed gun owner who said he thought the officers were intruders, allegedly fired a shot that hit Mattingly in the leg. Police opened fire, killing Taylor. Taylor had no criminal record and no drugs were found. Walker's conduct in shooting Mattingly is outrageous, intolerable, and offends all accepted standards of decency and morality, the lawsuit said, citing one of the legal standards for intentional emotional distress. Walker was initially arrested and charged with attempted murder over the shooting, but those charges were later dropped. Walker subsequently sued the Louisville Metropolitan Police Department and also sought immunity based on the state's stand your ground law. Walker's attorney called Mattingly's lawsuit a baseless attempt to further victimize and harass Kenny. And I'm going to just say this right now, man. You got to be a scary bitch-ass motherfucker to be... Dude. You the police, man. You the motherfucking police. You execute a raid on somebody's house, no-knock raid on somebody's house. They shoot at you because they don't know who the fuck you are, and you sue for emotional distress. Here's what I hope happens, right? What I hope happens is because he's sued, he gives up his qualified immunity, right? And now qualified immunity, for those of you who may not necessarily be familiar with what qualified immunity is, qualified immunity is what cops get, so that they can't be sued for the actions that they take as police officers, right? So what I hope is that because he decided that he was going to sue Kenneth Walker for his actions during this raid where he was sleeping in bed with his woman, and they decided to knock down his door, no knock raid, he shoots somebody in an attempt to scare these mother. Hey, I don't know who the fuck y'all is. I hope that because he's taking on this lawsuit, that he loses that qualified immunity, and then Kenneth Walker can get his ass and sue him, countersue him for the actions that he took in the death of Breonna Taylor, man. That's what I hope happens. And for Officer Mattingly, Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly, I'm gonna just say this: fuck you, and I hope you get everything coming to you, man. I swear to God, I do. He's an asshat this week. The other asshat this week is none other than Tunchi, Lil Wayne. And the reason why Lil Wayne is the asshat of the week this week is, real talk, man, nothing, for no other reason other than like acting as though Donald Trump is about to do anything for black people, right? You know, Lil Wayne talked about he read that platinum plan, that one-page ass platinum plan. Lil Wayne talked about he met with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump was a good guy. Lil Wayne talked about Donald Trump having plans for black people. I'm going to tell you this right now. Lil Wayne, Donald Trump has been president for 3.5 years. He's had time to show you he ain't did shit. Real talk. If you wanted to look at a plan, you could have looked at Joe Biden's Lift Every Voice plan back in March. You weren't inclined to do so. All you rappers going out of your way to reveal yourselves as coons. I'm glad that y'all are letting us know. But also, yeah, man, you an asshat this week. Lil Wayne. If y'all want me to believe that Lil Wayne could be getting robbed by like fucking Birdman, but he actually read the fucking platinum plan, I got another bridge in fucking Detroit, between Detroit and Windsor, to tell you, man, real talk. But yo, man, that's been our asshat of the week. But yo, y'all know what time it is, man. All right. It's Champ of the Week time here at the Spann Report podcast, man. And our Champ of the Week this week here at the Spann Report is none other than our friends, the Black Guy Who Tips, man. Both Rod and Karen over to the Black Guy Who Tips. Our Champs of the Week this week here at the Spann Report podcast, man. Shout out to them. They secured a exclusive deal with Spotify, man. They secured a fucking exclusive deal with Spotify. And like real talk, man, I've known Ronnie Carey now for damn near 10 years. Been a guest on the Black Guy Who Tips plenty of times. They've been here on the Spann Report a few times, man. One of my favorite podcasts to listen to. I listen to them damn near every day. I'm just happy to see for those of us who came up in the chitlin circuit of podcasting before like podcasting blew up like this, to see them be able to succeed and to be able to like grow and to like thrive in that way, man. Very proud of the work that they put in. They deserve it. They are an important voice in Black podcasting, I believe, and they echo a lot of the sentiments that a lot of the shit that I believe here at the show, man. They echo a lot of those sentiments, man, and I'm happy to see that those voices, their voices, are being elevated in that way, and that somebody saw value in their voices in that way. And so, man, I love the Black Guy Who Tips podcast. It's one of my favorite shows, and I'm just happy to see them be recognized by a much larger entity than this here vehicle here. But man, the Black Guy Who Tips podcast, man, champs of the week this week here at the Spann Report podcast, man. Congratulations, y'all. October 26th, they're exclusive to fucking Spotify, man. That's dope, man. That's fucking dope. And I just love to see Black people doing some dope shit, man. Real talk. But man, it's time for us to get on up out of here. But of course, before we do, I do have to remind you guys how to get in touch with us here at the Spann Report podcast and let your voice be heard, man. You can go ahead and hit us up at our hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages. Of course, those messages will get played here live on the show and responded to in kind. You can also email us here at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead and leave those emails. Of course, those emails will get read here and replied to here live on the show as well. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So go ahead and follow me there. Chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. Also, hit us up on our website at www.thespannreport.com. You can go there, watch replays of the show. You can vote in the polls over there when we put those up. You can donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like. And, of course, we really do appreciate every dime over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network, man. Real talk. But it is time for me to roll, and I will talk to you guys again soon. But until next time, fam, peace out.